Hola, mi gente. Welcome to the Messy Middle Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Lemus, and I want to thank you for pressing play today. The show is all about the space between where you are and where you're headed, the part that nobody really talks about, right? So that's the messy middle. Because let's be honest, it's not the highlight reels, it's not the victory speech, it's not where we get the grand applause, right? It's that messy in between. So let's talk about the messy middle and what it means. Everyone loves to celebrate when something ends. Everyone loves celebrating the start. The start is a new chapter. It's a brand new thing. It is something that is gaining momentum. It is new, exciting. It's amazing. But we don't really talk about what happens in between the start and the glow up, right? We just talk about the end. We don't talk about the middle. So in between or the middle is the part where motivation tends to run out, right? It's the messy middle where you start wondering, what am I even doing? So that's the middle. And it matters. And it matters more than the start or the finish because that's where growth actually happens, right? See, the middle is where you identify where you are going. The middle is where you identify if you want to continue where you are going. And it's a place to decide whether the trajectory that you started is going to continue or you're going to pivot. And sometimes pivots are necessary, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today, we're just going to talk about that middle, right? So, the middle is where you will find yourself once you started and once before you finished, right? So before we can get to that end result, the applause at the end, we have to go through hardships. We have to go through pain points and growth. And that's true for anyone on any journey. If you watch any Disney movie, any type of Hollywood movie, you will see that there's usually a start of the movie. Things are going well, and then there's a call to adventure, right? Joseph Campbell references this in Hero with a Thousand Faces. The hero receives a call to adventure. Usually there's a refusal of the call. You'll see that a lot with the movies. And then the adventure begins. They set out. They go to Mordor, or they go to Olympus, or they go to wherever they need to go. And along the way, there are trials, there are tribulations, there are points where the hero wants to give up. And no good story has a good start and a good finish and nothing in between. Usually the in between is where we're hooked, where we're watching our movies, we're eating our popcorn and really enjoying it, right? So growth happens in the grind. That's the big thing to remember. Growth happens in the grind. See, everyone wants the breakthrough, but not everyone wants the grind that comes before it. We love the idea of success, but growth is inconvenient and it's uncomfortable. So the truth is, before I was able to launch a business, before I was able to go and leave my corporate job, and before I even got my corporate job, I had to grind. Now that looks different for everyone, but for me, it was going into work and taking a book with me. Now, you'll learn this about me, but I have a short attention span and I need books that are about 100 pages. John C. Maxwell has these amazing books that are about 100 pages long, and I consume them like no other. They are my favorites, but they're usually on leadership, on growth, right? So I would read Zig Ziglar, John C. Maxwell, Brian Tracy. I was reading Stephen Covey at lunch while everyone else was eating. I was eating and reading. While everyone was on their phones, I was in a book. And that was a part of my journey. Now, your journey is going to look different. Your journey is not going to be the same as mine. I have had a lot of jobs throughout my life, and that's because I was always searching, sorry, for something that I wanted. See, it's in the gym, the days that you don't want to go, where you're trying to get the results, but you've already started. That's the messy middle, right? It's the conversation that you've been avoiding between we started this relationship and this needs to end. That's the middle, right? It's the dream that's taking longer than you expected. If you would have asked me when I was 15 or even 18, I would have said, I know what I want to do. I know who I'm going to end up with. I know where my life is going. And then if you ask me now at 34, it is nothing like I had imagined. And that's okay because life happens in the middle, right? It's that grind. And that's where growth is happening. And growth is necessary in life because if you're not growing, ultimately you're dying, right? But the grind is the repetition of the small steps, the resilience that is necessary. That's what builds us. That's what builds you, right? So the middle is where your faith and your focus will get tested. It's the conversation, again, that you've been avoiding with someone, the one that you know you've needed to have for the last month, for the last year, but it's too painful to get to. You can't skip it, and honestly, you shouldn't want to skip that middle because everything you learn in the messy middle becomes the foundation for who you'll be when breakthrough finally comes. So, what's the messy middle really about, right? So, this podcast is going to be about that middle and about what it's not. It's not a highlight reel again or a motivational speech. It's a conversation. It's a space to reflect, to refocus, and remind yourself that progress counts, even when it's small. So each episode, we'll talk about things like finding purpose when life feels unclear. We'll talk about things like building better habits, leadership, and growth when you're still figuring it all out, and how to hold on to hope when life gets heavy. Because the show isn't about perfection, it's about perspective. And let me put this into perspective. I've been in the middle, like I've mentioned before, but I want to be vulnerable with you and tell you I remember being 21 and I was at a job I hated. And I hated it because I didn't understand it. I didn't like it and I didn't think it was for me at the time. Honestly, I don't know if it was because I was too young and dumb, but I was at a painting job at a refinery. And looking back, I had it made. But I was too young, too dumb, maybe just too immature to realize it. And I took it for granted. And I remember one morning I woke up 4:30 in the morning, drove to work, got there by like 6 or maybe a little bit before that. And I was in the parking lot and I had this feeling in the pit of my stomach. And the question kept lingering, is this it? Is this what I am made for? Is this what I will always do while I never get out of here? At that time, I wanted to become a pastor because I thought that is what my journey was supposed to be. I thought that's where I was supposed to go. And I wanted to be someone, something other than just a painter. And I remember crying in my car, weeping, wishing that I could fast forward to where I was supposed to be. And that killed me inside. I didn't realize then that the middle is where I was supposed to be, and the middle was where growth was really happening. I love the movie Click with Adam Sandler. If you haven't watched it, here's a plug. Rent it, watch it. take it and really absorb it, because the movie Click is a perfect metaphor for what life is. It's a perfect metaphor for the messy middle. In that movie, Adam Sandler is having a rough time with a promotion. He's wanting to get to the next step where he gets that money, where he gets that promotion, where he's finally happy. And I do that in air quotes because we're truly never happy with the next step, right? It's just a stepping stone for what's next, for the next. But in the movie, he is greeted with this individual that has a magic control. So in this case, he would be more like the guide or so, right? And he says that he could fast forward the parts he wants in life and get to the next part, but he can't rewind. And this control is so smart that it learns from his habits, so it'll pick up on the parts where you want to fast forward. So as Adam Sandler goes into the movie, little things annoy him and he fast forwards through them, right? He's sick, he fast forwards. He fast forwards to a promotion. But in doing so, years have lapsed, years have gone by. And you see him when he watches the playback, it's just like if he was a zombie going through life day in, day out, day in, day out, eat, sleep, repeat. And so many of us do that often. We fast forward through our lives wanting to get to the next chapter, wanting to get to the next place, and we just eat, sleep, repeat, and are going through the motions of life. My challenge to you today, though, is to not lose hope, to not lose your mind, and to make life happen. Because if you see the movie and you watch it, you'll see that he misses years with his children, years with his wife. He eventually gets divorced. Spoiler alert, sorry. I'm terrible at this. But he gets to the end of his life and he realizes that he had fast forwarded and skipped the good parts, the necessary parts, the moments of growth, the moments with his children. And it makes me emotional thinking about it because I've been guilty of the same thing, wanting, chasing the next, and not living in the middle, the messy middle. So, lastly, before I close, I want you to take a second and ask yourself the following question. Where in your life are you in the middle right now? Is it in career, relationship? Is it with family? Is it with your fitness? Is it with your finances? Right? What's that thing you started? Maybe with excitement, but now it feels like it's taking forever to grow. Could be a new business, could be a new relationship, again, could be a number of things. And what if the middle moments isn't a punishment? What if they aren't a punishment? Or what if they are preparation? Because the middle is where your story gets made. So thanks for spending these few minutes with me today. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone else who's in their own messy middle. And remember that this is just the beginning. In every episode, we're going to talk about hope, mindset, and action, because those three things can change everything. So until next time, don't lose hope, don't lose your mind, and make life happen.